I sat there, staring at the divorce papers spread out on my desk, my hands trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. The words jumped off the page, cutting through me like a sharp slap. Wife has demonstrated consistent financial incompetence and inability to contribute meaningfully to our marriage. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My name is Judith, and at the age of 30, I never imagined I'd be called financially useless by my husband of 5 years. Especially not when I was on the verge of closing the deal of a lifetime, the sale of my tech startup in Palo Alto. The irony was almost laughable, had it not been so excruciating. From the corner of my eye, I saw Amanda, my secretary, through the glass walls of my office. She was laughing at something on her phone, as though everything was normal. But something had been off about her lately. She'd been taking longer lunches, making odd phone calls, and showing a curious interest in our company's acquisition talks. Now, with her new designer handbag and shoes, I couldn't help but piece together the puzzle in front of me. Just then, a notification popped up on my laptop. Another email from our acquisition team. The deal was nearly done. $800,000 for my company, which specialized in AI-driven market analysis. I'd kept the entire process under wraps, not because I was trying to hide it, but because I'd learned early in my career that success speaks louder than announcements. Daniel, with his real estate background, had always belittled my work. He saw it as nothing more than playing around with computers. He never really understood what I was building, and honestly, he never cared to try. He called it my little project, even as we gained clients and recognition in the tech world. Judith? Amanda's voice broke through my thoughts as she popped her head into my office. Daniel called. He said someone will be by this weekend to pick up his things. Thanks, Amanda, I replied, keeping my voice as neutral as I could. As she turned to leave, I noticed the faint smirk on her face. Her new diamond bracelet caught the sunlight, exactly like the one Daniel's mother had given me for our first anniversary. I quickly turned my attention back to the laptop screen, opening a secure folder containing all the company documentation. Tomorrow, I would revoke Amanda's access to the systems, standard procedure when an employee gives notice, which I knew was coming soon. The final divorce papers were still on my desk, waiting for my signature. Daniel wanted a quick and clean break, citing irreconcilable differences and accusing me of financial incompetence. What he didn't realize was that while he was making plans to leave, I was closing the biggest deal of my career. I reached for my pen, a strange calm washing over me. Sometimes, the best response is not to respond at all, just let people reveal who they truly are. 3 days later, I found myself sitting across from my attorneys in their polished downtown Palo Alto office, finalizing both the divorce and the acquisition paperwork. The timing was almost poetic. On one hand, I was signing away my failed marriage, and on the other, I was securing the future of my company. Ms. Kennedy, you understand that by not contesting the divorce and keeping the sale confidential, Mr. Harrison will have no claim to your business assets? Barbara, my corporate attorney, asked, pushing her glasses up her nose. I nodded, recalling the night 6 months ago when I first suspected something was wrong. Daniel had been working late more often, and Amanda had started asking questions that raised red flags about our company's valuation methods and investor relations. It was then that I hired a private investigator, not out of jealousy, but to protect my intellectual property. The photos they provided of Daniel and Amanda having private lunches were a shock, but they didn't hold the same weight as the threat of corporate espionage. I understand perfectly, I replied, signing another document. Daniel made his choice. Thinking I paused, mimicking his words with a slight smile, financially useless. I see no reason to correct his assumption. The acquisition team had been clear. Absolute confidentiality was required until the deal closed. Not even our employees knew, though I had negotiated some pretty impressive retention bonuses for them. Well, most of them anyway. My phone buzzed with a message from my VP of engineering. Amanda just submitted her resignation, effective immediately. Says she's pursuing an exciting new opportunity. Right on schedule, I murmured under my breath, earning a curious look from Barbara. Should we be concerned? She asked. I shook my head. No, Just the expected departure of someone who thinks they've found a better opportunity. I didn't mention that I had already transferred all her access to a monitored account to track any attempts at accessing sensitive information. In the tech world, you learn to prepare for exits before they happen. Later that afternoon, I overheard two developers discussing how Amanda had been bragging about a brilliant investment opportunity, something about exclusive real estate deals that could double investors' money in a matter of months. I immediately recognized the look of greed in their eyes, and it became clear what had likely drawn Daniel to her. They seemed to be perfectly suited for each other in that regard, both so determined to get rich quickly that they failed to recognize the importance of building something of real value. I turned my attention back to the computer screen and pulled up the final checklist for the acquisition. Let them chase their quick money dreams. I had a company to sell and a future to create. The deal was finalized on a Thursday afternoon. As I stood in the kitchen of our office, watching my team celebrate with champagne, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of pride. Their excitement when I announced their retention bonuses filled the room with energy. This wasn't just about the sale, it was about creating something substantial, something meaningful. To Judith, Michael, our lead developer, called out as he raised his glass. The best boss, who never once mentioned she was secretly a genius millionaire. The room burst into laughter and applause. I smiled, appreciating how different this moment felt compared to Daniel's vision of striking it rich overnight. He had always been fixated on the idea of getting lucky with some clever scheme or inside tip, never understanding that true success came from years of diligent, consistent work. As I continued to savor the celebration, my phone buzzed with a message from Barbara. Divorce finalized. Harrison didn't contest anything. Congratulations. You're officially single and a lot wealthier. Before I could reply, Tyler from accounting rushed over to me, his face flushed with excitement that had little to do with the champagne. Judith, you won't believe what I just heard, he whispered eagerly. My friend at First Bay Bank says Daniel just took out a huge loan against his real estate holdings. He's selling everything to invest in some exclusive opportunity. Tyler made air quotes with his fingers. Apparently, Amanda convinced him she had insider knowledge about our company's proprietary trading algorithms. I remained calm as I absorbed the news. Amanda had never been exposed to our actual AI technology. She only knew the user interface we used for clients. But, of course, she wouldn't tell Daniel that. Interesting, I replied casually, taking a sip of champagne. I'm sure they know what they're doing. Later that evening, as I packed up my office, I stumbled upon an old photo from a company Christmas party. There was Daniel, absorbed in his phone as usual, while I was in deep discussion with the developers about an exciting new project. It seemed appropriate, considering the circumstances. He had never truly been present in my world, always chasing after something better or faster. I tossed the photo into the recycling bin and grabbed my laptop. Tomorrow, we would begin the integration process with our acquiring company. I had a 3-year contract to continue leading my team and pushing the technology forward with the backing of a major tech firm. As I headed to my car, a text from my former private investigator caught my attention. Thought you'd want to know. AM just bought one-way tickets to the Cayman Islands. Solo traveler. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off my phone and drove to my new condo in the hills, where I relaxed on the balcony with a glass of wine, watching the sun set over Silicon Valley. Sometimes success isn't about revenge. It's about moving forward and allowing others to face the consequences of their own decisions. 2 months after the acquisition, I was immersed in meetings about expanding our AI platform when the first signs of Daniel and Amanda's downfall began to emerge. While reviewing integration plans with our new parent company, I got an unexpected call from Lisa, my former assistant in accounting. Have you seen the news? She asked without any preamble. Daniel's real estate office just announced their closing. There's a crowd of angry investors outside the building. I quickly pulled up the local business news on my laptop. Sure enough, there it was, Daniel's office, surrounded by people holding signs about fraud and demanding their money back. I recognized several of the faces, other real estate agents who had worked with him over the years. Apparently, they all invested in some kind of exclusive fund, Lisa continued. Something about proprietary trading algorithms and guaranteed returns. Sound familiar? I muted my phone and exhaled slowly. Of course, Amanda had leveraged her position as my secretary to add legitimacy to her scheme. She had likely convinced them that working at a tech startup gave her inside knowledge about cutting-edge trading software. Thanks for letting me know, I replied. But I'm actually heading into a meeting about our expansion into Asian markets. After hanging up, I refocused on my work. Our AI technology was proving even more valuable than expected, and we were already surpassing our first quarter projections. I had a responsibility to my team and our investors to stay focused on real opportunities, not to get distracted by past drama. But still, the developments with Daniel and Amanda couldn't be ignored. In the following days, additional information continued to emerge about Daniel and Amanda's downward spiral. They had not only convinced Daniel's colleagues, but also managed to persuade a number of his wealthy clients to invest in their exclusive fund. The allure of trading algorithms, which they claimed were built on insider knowledge from their alleged connection to my company, was simply too attractive to resist. "Mrs. Harrison?" A voice pulled me from my thoughts. I looked up to find a detective standing at the doorway of my office. "It's Ms. Kennedy now," I corrected him. "How can I help you?" "We're investigating a potential investment fraud involving Amanda Martinez and Daniel Harrison," the detective explained. "We understand Ms. Martinez was employed here?" I nodded, opening Amanda's employment record on my computer. She worked as my secretary for 2 years. Her duties were limited to basic administrative tasks. She had no access to any of our proprietary technology. The detective jotted down notes as I continued. "When did she resign?" he asked. "About 2 months ago, just before my divorce was finalized," I replied. I handed him a copy of her resignation letter. "Everything is documented through HR. Are you aware that she and Mr. Harrison have absconded with approximately $3,200,000 in investor funds?" he asked. I maintained a neutral expression. "No, but I'm not surprised. Amanda was always interested in our company's acquisition discussions, though she never had any access to sensitive data. I imagine she used her perceived connection to our company to give credibility to whatever scheme they were running." The detective raised an eyebrow. "You seem very calm about this." I gestured toward the busy office outside my glass walls, where my team was immersed in real work. "I run a legitimate technology company that was just sold for $800,000 and is now expanding globally. I don't have time to worry about people who fall for get-rich-quick scams." The next few weeks were full of revelations. During my morning coffee break at a local cafe in Palo Alto, I overheard a conversation between 2 of Daniel's former colleagues. "He took everything, my retirement savings, my kids' college fund," one man said, his voice cracking. "Amanda showed us all these fake trading reports, promising 40% returns every month. How could we have been so stupid? Just because she worked at a tech company, we thought." His companion replied. I quietly paid for my coffee and left the cafe, my mind already focused on more important matters. Our AI platform was growing faster than anticipated, and I was in the middle of interviewing candidates for our new office in Singapore. Real success, driven by real innovation. Later that afternoon, Barbara called with an update. "The FBI is now involved," she said. Apparently, Amanda and Daniel set up shell companies in 7 different states. The total losses are estimated to be around $5 million. "Any sign of them?" I asked, though I wasn't particularly concerned. "They emptied the Cayman Islands account 2 days after arriving. They were last seen boarding a yacht, but after that, surveillance lost track of them," Barbara replied. "The investigators want to know if you'd be willing to make a statement about Amanda's role here." I thought for a moment. "Send them our HR records and my previous statement." Amanda was a secretary, and she had no access to our technology. If she claimed otherwise, that's fraud, plain and simple. Barbara paused before adding, "They also found some interesting emails. It turns out Daniel was bragging to investors about how he was leaving his financially useless wife just before hitting it big with this scheme. The timing is pretty ironic." I smiled faintly, recalling the words he had written in the divorce papers. "Karma has better timing than we do, Barbara." I looked at the clock. Now, I need to prepare for my board presentation. We're looking into expanding into medical AI applications. That evening, as I walked through the office, watching my team work, I felt a sense of pride. The acquisition had allowed us to hire more developers, and our technology was evolving in ways I had only dreamed of before. One screen displayed our AI analyzing cancer treatment outcomes. Another was predicting climate change patterns. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local real estate mogul and former tech employee wanted in multimillion-dollar investment scam. The article included photos of Daniel and Amanda, looking polished and professional, promoting incredible returns based on proprietary AI trading algorithms. Michael, my lead developer, glanced at my phone. "Hard to believe they thought they could fake our technology," he remarked. "We've spent years developing those algorithms." "People believe what they want to believe," I replied, putting my phone down. "Especially when they're looking for easy money." "Speaking of money," Michael grinned, "our medical AI prototype just passed its first round of testing. Venture capital firms are already calling." I smiled, turning my focus back to the future rather than the past. While Daniel and Amanda had been selling lies, we had been working on something real, technology with the potential to change lives. "Let's focus on this," I said. "There's a lot to do." 6 months after our company's acquisition, I was presenting our groundbreaking advancements in medical AI at a prominent technology conference in San Francisco when the news finally broke. The Wall Street Journal had published an in-depth exposé about the scam orchestrated by Daniel and Amanda, revealing even more details than I had been aware of. During a break in the sessions, I skimmed through the article on my tablet. It turned out that they had begun plotting their scheme the moment our acquisition talks had started. Amanda had exploited her position as my secretary to fabricate fake documents, merging pieces of our genuine AI technology with completely falsified trading results. "Ms. Kennedy?" A reporter from Tech Weekly approached me as I left the stage. "Would you like to comment on the Harris and Martinez investment scandal, especially given your connection?" I politely but firmly interrupted. "My connection is limited to running the legitimate technology company they tried to imitate. Our AI platforms are being used to help hospitals predict patient outcomes and assist climate scientists. That's what I'm here to discuss." Back in my hotel room, I received an email from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. They had discovered evidence that Daniel had repeatedly attempted to access my company's servers after I revoked Amanda's credentials. His goal had been to steal our trading algorithms to cover their tracks. "Your security measures prevented any breach," the agent wrote, "but we'd appreciate your team's help in tracking their digital footprint across various cryptocurrency exchanges." I forwarded the request to our security team. Although we were happy to assist law enforcement, I had more immediate concerns. Our medical AI had just received fast-track approval for hospital trials, and several large healthcare providers were eager to collaborate with us. As I was typing a response, my phone buzzed with a text from Barbara. "Thought you should know, they found Daniel." Airport security in Buenos Aires apprehended him while he was attempting to use a fake passport. No sign of Amanda or the money. I was in the middle of replying when there was a knock on my door. It was my VP of Operations. "Sorry to interrupt, but the Singapore team just made a breakthrough with the climate modeling algorithm. They're ready for the demo whenever you are." "Set up the call," I replied, putting my phone away. The past could wait. The future was pressing. The next morning, the headlines told the rest of the story. Amanda had apparently vanished with most of the stolen funds, leaving Daniel to face the consequences alone. His attempt to flee had failed, and now he was facing extradition and multiple federal charges. During my closing keynote at the conference, I spoke about the significance of ethical innovation and creating genuine value. I didn't mention Daniel or Amanda by name, but I made sure to share the broader lesson. True innovation isn't about chasing fast profits or making empty promises, I said to the packed auditorium. It's about solving real-world problems and delivering actual value. Success isn't measured by quick money, it's measured by the lives you impact and the challenges you overcome. The irony wasn't lost on anyone when our medical AI platform was named Innovation of the Year on the same day Daniel was extradited to face charges. While he had chased hollow promises and fabricated algorithms, we had built something truly groundbreaking. Later that evening, I received another update from the FBI. We've frozen several offshore accounts, but most of the investors' money has already vanished. Amanda is still at large, likely with millions in stolen funds. I closed my laptop and turned my attention back to our ongoing projects. Their story had reached its end, but ours was still unfolding. 1 year later, I sat in the courtroom watching Daniel's sentencing. He appeared much older than his 35 years, his once confident demeanor replaced by a defeated look. The judge didn't hold back in her evaluation of his crimes. "Mr. Harrison, you have pled guilty to numerous charges including wire fraud, investment fraud, and conspiracy," she stated. "Your participation in the scheme has ruined lives and wiped out retirement savings. The court hereby sentences you to 12 years in federal prison." I didn't stay to watch him being escorted away. I had a board meeting to attend where we would be discussing the rollout of our medical AI system to 50 more hospitals. Our technology had already improved patient outcomes by 40%, and our climate modeling division was making remarkable progress in predicting extreme weather patterns. The media had dubbed our story "The Tale of Two Paths," contrasting my legitimate success with Daniel and Amanda's fraudulent schemes. While they had sold lies and shattered dreams, we had created something truly transformative. Amanda was still on the run, presumed to be hiding with the stolen millions. Interpol had traced her movements to Dubai and then to Singapore, but the trail had gone cold. Daniel's desperate search for her only highlighted the extent of her betrayal. As I drove toward our headquarters in Palo Alto, I couldn't help but reflect on how different things could have been if Daniel had taken the time to understand what I was creating, rather than dismissing it as financially worthless. But then again, those who seek instant wealth often fail to see true value when it stands right in front of them. 2 weeks after Daniel's sentencing, I was invited to deliver the commencement speech at Stanford School of Engineering. Looking out at the sea of enthusiastic faces, I recognized the same drive and ambition that had once fueled me to create something impactful. I told them that success isn't about cutting corners, it's about generating genuine value. The world is full of people in search of quick wins and easy money, but real innovation is rooted in dedication, honesty, and the courage to build something substantial. After the ceremony, a young woman approached me, her diploma tightly in her hand. "I read about what happened with your ex-husband and your former secretary," she said. "It must be satisfying to see them face the consequences of their actions." I paused for a moment, contemplating her words. Honestly, I was far too focused on building something real to worry about their downfall. They made their choices, just as I made mine. Later that evening, I received an email from our team in Singapore. Our climate modeling AI had helped a small island nation evacuate just in time before a catastrophic typhoon struck. Thousands of lives had been spared. As I was reading this, another notification appeared on my screen. Federal authorities had seized the last of Daniel's hidden assets, only $42,000 left in a forgotten account. Walking through our office, which now occupied 3 floors and employed over 200 people, I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. The company that Daniel had once written off as a minor project was now valued at more than $100 million, and, more importantly, it was truly making a difference in the world. Sometimes, the best form of revenge isn't revenge at all. It's the quiet satisfaction of creating something meaningful while others continue chasing empty pursuits.